working with the magnetics from the yogic perspective, because that's what your prana life force, that which keeps you alive, is your magnetism, your magnetic energy. We call it prana, which we loosely can translate as life force, or you could rather say life force intelligence, is that which causes all the, what in India they call mahat, all the great truth principles that govern life. And that includes at the material level, such as the force of gravity, the laws of like Newtonian physics, all the way to the subtle physics of life, the laws that govern karma and dharma and so forth and so on. It's brilliant stuff. But the mind's tendency is not the core of a person's identity. A person's identity is beyond our ability to totally conceive of it in the yogic perspective. So this is working with magnetism. What does that mean? That means what you are, what I am, is beyond our capacity to totally comprehend it. What are we? Can you say for sure? What is this life? What is the mystery of this life? You come through the birth canal and you take your first breath, and then when you take your last breath, you'll go through the death canal, and so to speak. But in yoga, they talk about those as two doors, not starting points and ending points, but passing points. So you have and that also is like the negative pole and the positive pole, and the magnetic pathway of your life. Follow the vibe. Follow what is real. Follow your joy. Follow your love. Or Joseph Campbell is famous for, follow your bliss. What is bliss? How can I follow it? Bliss is not pleasure. Bliss is something filled with meaning, something that makes us feel connected to all of life. So that's the beauty and the importance of working with my magnetism, because if I'm overly polarized in my life, grasping onto my opinions, pushing away those of others. I'm not saying I won't have my opinions. I definitely do. Probably more than people closely around me would prefer sometimes. But being overly convinced in our opinions, being overly convinced in our way of seeing things, causes us difficulties, because it leaves no room for mystery and wonder, and for further blossoming and new perspectives, which make us happier. So this practice is about being a little like more relaxed. Actually, it's not a religious practice. It's not part of being in any club or membership. It might be a membership like Life Force Academy. That's a business membership. That's a membership to have access to some good tools. But it's not a this type of thing, to me, I don't like it to be something where then we identify with the tools that we're using so strongly that then it creates this other type of ego around it. I like this stuff for me, and just how we do it at Life Force Academy is to be for people of all walks of life. Of course, some people, some walks of life are probably not going to be very interested in, what I have to say or what these things are. No problem. But I like to approach this stuff so it can apply to any human being, I hope. And that's why I think it's nice that you can talk about it in more of type of magnetic language of positives and negatives, grasping of the mind, pushing away of the mind. And when we say the mind, it's not just our intellectual mind, of course, it's emotional mind. It's how we're experiencing our emotions. It's not getting rid of emotions to where like spiritually stiff, this type of thing. But actually being able to work with our emotions in such a way that we are gaining greater contentment in our life and greater satisfaction and greater love. But we all know that we can't do that by just sticking with the pleasant emotions and fighting off the unpleasant emotions. Unpleasant emotions are very, very important. And they're some of the most important blossoming moments of our life is wrestling with the very difficult parts of our life. And all of us get heavy doses of that from time to time. And all of us get little micro doses of it on the daily. Microdose your suffering. But that's real. Normally you would like a microdose and not a macro dose of suffering. But sometimes certain things come around in our life that it causes tremendous difficulty, tremendous suffering. A beloved one passes away. Some tragedy happens in life. Tragedy is a part of life. So let's not act like that's not a part of life. It is. So working with the magnetics from the yogic perspective, because that's what your prana life force, that which keeps you alive is your magnetism, your magnetic energy. We call it prana, which we loosely can translate as life force. Or you could rather say life force intelligence. Is that which causes all the, what in India they call mahat, all the great truth principles that govern life. And that includes at the material level, such as the force of gravity, the laws of like Newtonian physics, all the way to the subtle physics of life, the laws that govern karma and dharma and so forth and so on. It's brilliant stuff. It's not woo-woo. That's what some modern people put on top of this stuff to kind of make it seem like out of the ordinary. When all the while, this is stuff that just can help human beings feel better. And we all share that in common. All of us want to feel better. All of us have to pass one day through that other doorway. So you have compassion for other people. And because they also have to do that, and they have to do that by themselves, just like you and I do. And so life is real. When you embrace the realness of it, perhaps some bliss is in there, in the middle of it. That's what the yogic teachings say. So that becomes the hypothesis, so to speak, that you're trying to prove via your own experience. Is at the center of this thing, not just life force intelligence, but life force love intelligence. That's love that grew you in your mother's womb somehow. Love intelligence, that which can turn her blood into milk. How about that for the force of compassion? Love intelligence. That which makes everything so beautiful. The stars in the sky and the moon coming. Right now it's like a crescent growing, and here we have on the day of equalized timing where just because the way the sun moves through the ecliptic, and on one hand we're on a rotating, turning planet that's moving like 80. You know how they throw those big ass numbers out, 80,000 miles per hour through you're on this rotating planet moving around the sun. And on one day you get the point where actually the amount of dark and the amount of light is perfect. On this winter solstice, the total amount of dark, very wonderful time of the year. Maybe the most deeply meditative time of the year. That's why I always do something on the winter solstice. Summer solstice, most light. Very expansive moment of time. We'll always do something on the summer solstice. That's working with the natural physics of nature in order to keep yourself healthy, really. The natural markers to say reboot, rekindle, recharge, reconnect. So it's not just physical. By saying recharge, system reset. We're not just talking about the nervous system and the endocrine system and the tissue layers of the body and the immune system. We are talking about those things, but all those things are connected to something else. And what we're talking about is us feeling connected to what our life is all about, feeling inspired, keeping our inspiration alive, our interests alive, being interested in life. That's called growth and blossoming. So when we say total system reset, that's what we mean. And then in combination with the kriyas and the exercises that absolutely recalibrate the nervous system so we can be connected to the inspiration. That balance the endocrine system so we can stay connected to the meaningfulness of our life. Nervous system you can track. It's like wires through the body. It's all connected. comes down through the central channel here, like your spine, and then it has like roots like a tree that goes down the backs of the legs and through the legs. We call it our sciatica. It looks like roots of the tree, and they're about the size of like your thumb. That's called what the yogis call the life nerve. And so the nervous system you can see, and it's connected, and it all goes zoom, and it's kind of like the physical correlation to what the yogis call the pranic body, which is also like a nervous system, but you can't see it in the physical point of view, but they understand it very well, and it's well architected and well diagrammed. And so this is why we have things and awareness of things like the chakras. This isn't woo-woo. It's been around for over 5,000 years. So things that stick around like that is because they have practicality and they have substance. And so when you learn to work with this subtle nervous system, it's much easier to recalibrate your physical nervous system and the endocrines, because the endocrines are the guardians of the health, and you can't track them. They don't have wires connected. There's no wire that connects your pituitary gland to your pineal gland, to the thyroid and parathyroid, and to the ovaries or the testes, etc. It happens through secretion, enzymatic secretion. But that's a communication that is happening without wires, just like my phone can be connected without a wire to a speaker, and then you get how does that happen? That's magic, wouldn't we think? Go back 100 years and you have this thing, and then you can make the sound come out, and then you can control it from here. But we're just like these phones. It's magic, actually, but it's an illusion at the same time, meaning it's like, okay, it's very cool and it's a tool, can be totally helpful, but it's hypnotic. And so you can get overly convinced by things, and you can get stuck in them, and it's like, joom, 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 joom. Yeah, have a little fun, but recalibration, system reset, then you don't have to be worried so much about this, because your center is so strong and you're connected to life. This little thing won't overtake you. Don't have to be too concerned about that. And so that's what I'm about, is about having enough discipline to do some practice that's going to keep my mind clear and connected to what my heart is telling me. And that can be done very easily. The hard part is not the exercises we're gonna do. The hard part is to be able to work with it consistently enough that that type of an effect starts to become more of your ordinary. Intuitive clarity, inspiration, and vitality in the body. That becomes more the case. So when it does happen, it's not like, wow, that was a phenomenal moment. And then you keep going from there. And little by little, baby steps by baby steps, the person becomes happier and happier and happier. And their life gets better and better. Their relationships get better and better. The work life gets better and better. Why? Because the center of the thing has gotten better and better. Better in the sense it's becoming more of itself. We're becoming more of what we really are, with less of the distortions of all the conditionings. So that's yoga in a nutshell like that. So what we're doing here tonight is working with all of that in a very practical way, because you feel like, you just need to push this lever that way and push that lever this way, and actually there's just a little short in the system, and all of a sudden, poof, in just like an hour, I feel like the problems that I was having and the weight the weight is not there anymore. It's not that the external problems disappear, but the weight that overwhelms us, the weight that depresses us, the weight that causes us anxiousness and worry, that starts to dissipate. It's a connection to actually I'm being taken care of. And I've proven that to myself over and over and over again. And it's easy to lose track of that. So that's what the practice is all about, to never lose track of that. And for me, my experience to never lose track of that, I got to practice on the regular. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Best easy way to stay in touch with us. Hit the subscribe button here. You'll see our videos when they come up. If you enjoyed this one, hit the like button. It'll help more people see it, help the channel grow. I appreciate you watching.